Okay, welcome everyone to this Mind and Life Europe, MLE Friends and Community of Contemplative Education talk with Anna Bornstein. I'm Johanna Megan, Programs Manager at Mind and Life Europe, and we're joined with Gabor Karsai, the Managing Director of Mind and Life Europe, who'll be managing the Q&A portion of this evening. So I'd like just to start by introducing Anna Bornstein for those who may not know her or for those who do already know her work. We're really happy to have her with us to share the story, really the narrative of her Dream of the Good project. So thank you, Anna, for joining us and offering your time this evening. Anna Bornstein is a writer, translator, and featured journalist with a special interest in meditation and existential topics. She's written 14 books and contributed regularly between 1987 to 2012 to the Swedish Daily News. In 1995 and 1996, she initiated a big nonviolence project involving stillness in the municipal high school system all across Stockholm. It culminated in the Dalai Lama visiting Sweden and meeting the students in the Globe Arena. The Dream of the Good project was the natural follow-up to this. The students' overwhelming response inspired her and her friends to begin weaving short stillness practices into preschools and schools on an everyday basis. And after 26 years of this pioneering work in Swedish schools and preschools, and many well-documented pilot projects with children and students of all ages, the Dream of the Good project is now widely implemented in schools at all levels in Sweden and has even spread to Norway. So Anna will be offering sharing this evening, followed by a discussion with all of you called Bringing Calm to Kids, the Dream of the Good project in Sweden. So thank you again, Anna, for joining us, and we give the floor to you, and you can take as much time as you need to share.
Thank you. Well, it's a story to tell about Sweden and the development in the schools since we started the stillness practices. It's a story like a weaving of life, you will find out when I start telling, because there are many people who have contributed, and they showed up mostly when they were needed the most. And we are persons with different abilities, and different experience and knowledge. And how we have worked as a team is very moving, really, and was absolute a prerequisite for being able to do this. We started in well, for me, it started earlier. It started in the 80s, because I wrote a book about nonviolence, about the Tibetan nonviolence, called The Dalai Lama and the Buddhist Way. Now I translated it, it's in Swedish only. But I wrote this book, and it was read a lot in the schools, and there were big problems in the schools with bullying and the kids faring not well, and there were a lot of mental ill health among the kids too. So the situation was not good. But with this book, I was invited to talk about nonviolence in the schools, and all over Sweden I traveled around and talked. And the kids, they were so interested in nonviolence. They were so open to what I was talking about. And it was the same in the city, big cities, in the countryside, schools. It was always the same. I don't want anyone to listen by force, or if they don't want to. So I always said, if you get tired, if you want to go out and take a break, do that. I always said. And it was, I think, only once over those years that a student went out for a little while, and they sat and their eyes were big like you know, they were big and they were listening. And then I had either an hour or 2 hours. It varied, but I always, towards the end, I invited them to make a stillness practice of nonviolence. I told them, I made up something that they had been fighting with a friend, and they sat down and they reflected on it in a stillness. And they always did it with so much concentration and order, I would say. And when I clapped my hands to end it, they didn't end, they were just sitting like this, resting in the peace. And it was moving, and it was the same in every class. The teachers were always so surprised. But it opened my mind to what was going on in the schools and how big, how great the need was. So this was behind me when I and a friend, my friend was director of the municipality in a smaller town south of Stockholm. And he asked me to help invite the Dalai Lama to Sweden, because he wanted the Dalai Lama to inspire the environmental work in this town. It had been one of the most a city with very heavy environmental problems, because they had been dealing with oil and stuff. So he was there and he wanted to change this. He asked the Dalai Lama, he wanted me to help him invite the Dalai Lama to Sweden. His name is Anders Byström. And so he and I went to Norway. The Dalai Lama was coming there to Bergen. And we were sitting for hours waiting, hoping that we would get the chance to talk to him. And we did. And we asked, here he put his question, and the Dalai Lama said yes right away, although he didn't really have time. He had other plans. But he asked his helper to change those plans. And he said yes. So then when we went home on the plane, I asked my friend I said I would like to bring the Dalai Lama to meet the youngsters, the school kids. And he said yes. So that's how it started. And I went to the mayor of Stockholm and asked him and told him the plan. And he looked out at the bay through the big window in his office. And he was quiet for many minutes. Then he turned to me and said, I buy this. And he opened the doors to the school. And I took off from work for a year. And I had friends with me who also helped. And we were giving talks. We wanted to prepare the kids, because we had a year before the Dalai Lama would come. So we did stillness practices, we did talks on non-violence, we did all sorts of things. And we invited people, well-known people, to also tour the schools. So there were 24 schools, municipal high schools in Stockholm. And they were all, and then we went to the, we planned, there is a big globe arena in Stockholm, a big globe. It looks like, the earth, but not really. It is a globe. But it was quite new then. And we got to use the globe for this meeting. And we went to the schools, and only half of the schools, we went to the principals and asked if they wanted to join this project. And only half of the schools said yes. Half said no. They said, our students are too restless. They will never listen. They're not interested. They were so sad, but this is what they told us. And then we had decided not to try to persuade anyone or try to push someone into this. So we just said thank you, and we left. And then, so half, by the late fall, half of the schools had said yes. But in the spring, see, we heard these other schools were contacting us because the students had come to the principals and said, we heard what the other schools are doing. Why aren't we doing it? We want to do it too. And so school by school, in the spring, by the April or March, all the schools were joined. And we had not forced anyone, we had not tried to persuade anyone. They just came. So but we had done this work in the schools, with parents, with teachers, with kids during the year, preparing them, doing simple exercises, telling them about nonviolence and preparing them. And so then when the time approached and the Dalai Lama was coming, we could have filled that globe several times with students. So many students wanted to come. And they called from Finland. They wanted to come over also. And it was a very, very big interest. But we filled the globe with mostly students, of course, but then we had a few hundred seats for parents and for other grown-ups that we could pay for. The other was for free, but we took pay for a little because we needed to pay for our office rent. And it was a very wonderful success. The teachers had said, our students will not be able to listen more than at the most 40 minutes or an hour, not longer. So we asked the Dalai Lama to only speak an hour. But he didn't listen to us. He spoke almost 2 hours. And all the students were sitting. You could have heard a needle fall. They were so quiet and so concentrated. And they were very moved by the Dalai Lama, and they understood what he was saying. So it was a great event. And afterwards, I felt that I had gotten a glimpse of something that could mean, that could open a door to more well-being. And so I decided to give another year or two to work with it. And I had friends. Who joined, and we wanted to start with a high school. That's where we planned. But when we were planning, this woman, preschool director from Norrköping, joined our team, and she listened a few minutes, and then she said, this you have to start within preschool. That's where you lay the foundation. We said, I have a friend sitting there. She was doing this. We were doing this together. We invited her teachers to come to a course, and we made the course twice because there were so many. They were almost more than 50, I think. They came in 2 buses at 2 different times, and then we simplified the practices very much and made them very much shorter, and we gave them practices. And they went back and started with it. And we have been following that work in the preschools for 26 years. And it has been amazing because we understood many things. For instance, one thing, that the small kids are very close to the soul. I mean, to their own soul. They have no personality yet, no qualities that, personal qualities. They are all totally open, and they see so clearly. I discovered that they see if you are yourself or if you are just performing something. They can see that clearly. And they took to the stillness practices. They were so short, but it was enough so that they could sit and dream for a while, or help do some hands-on massage on each other, or they had these reflective talks with a talking stick. They learned to talk so quickly doing this, wanting to express themselves. And it was quite moving to see that. Once I was there, I had a class there, and we went to see one talk, reflective talk. And there was this little boy, he didn't say one word. And I understood by the teacher's reaction that they didn't expect him to talk. And later they said that he had never talked before. I mean, not any several sentences or. So he was sitting there so quiet listening, but then he took the stick and he started talk. He talked and talked and talked. I think he was maybe 2 years old, little more than 2. And he told us everything. And, everyone was listening like this. They were astounded to hear him. But he had ideas about things. He told them about beautiful times he had when he sat at home watching the thunderstorm through the window. All this he confided us. And it was beautiful. And the things like that happened in the preschools. And also at that time, the sick leave was very high for preschool teachers because of the very high noise level in all Swedish preschools. It was a big problem. So these schools discovered that after a few months, it started to go down. And after a year, they had next to 0 sick leaves from the teachers. And it has remained over the years incredibly low in these schools. So and it came from the kids became more quiet. I mean, not that they were not allowed to make noise if they wanted, but they stopped wanting it. They were quietly playing and having fun all day, but they were not stressed up like before. And the same with the other school. And these schools have been, studied. They have received. They ranked among the best in Sweden I think 2014. And we have followed it, and it has spread to other preschools. Several hundred preschools in Sweden are doing the dream. So this is one. But then in the other, in the primary school, high primary school, the higher grades in elementary school and in high school, everywhere, it was the students took to it, and it spread. We educated teachers. We made the first courses were with the teachers in these two preschools, but then we made courses for other teachers too. And 2 days they learned the practice. We did a lot of practices. Very little, facts except the research. And we did things to make the teachers feel at home when they came, and it worked. And over many years we tried different things, and I went home after every course thinking. I like to think. I think a lot, and I would reflect. What happened? What worked? What did not work? Can we do it better? Can we do it different? And we worked it out to make a real good course, good 2-day course. The teachers could start with the practices right after. And then we saw how it spread in the early years. It's spread very much by the teachers talking to other teachers in their school and telling them about results. And then they showed up too, and they wanted to be trained. And this is how it happened. We had no organization for bringing a bigger business. Many of us worked non-profit. I mean, we worked without pay, and in the early years, and we saw that it spread, and that the practices worked on all the levels. And what I learned was that one time I came to a class with teachers in the school, and they talked to me and they said, we get so many demands put on us all the time. And in papers, we have to read, or we have to go to courses. So we put them all in the waste paper basket. And I learned much from that. I thought, no papers, no detailed explanations. No, we will just do it simply and make it like a nice time for the teachers. And we tried to do that, and it worked. And the teachers were inspired to use the practices right away. The practices were so simple. And they discovered that the kids liked it. The kids would ask for them if the teachers forgot that, why don't we do stillness practice now? They would ask. And this is how it went on for many years, and it was spreading. Sounds like it spread tremendously, but no, I think today maybe we have taught 4,000 teachers from all different levels. And maybe it could be more, but I don't want to 5,000 teachers I have written down here, so that's probably more true. And then of that, maybe 300 preschool teachers or more. And then this is the framework, or what you see, what has been going on. And I wanted to spend a little time with speaking about what the kids said, what the kids, we got a lot of feedback from the kids. And let me see, I want to have them clear, to have them. This is from preschool. I mean, I don't have that many from preschool, but one little kid, 3 years, said, "It's so wonderful." This is a girl, and she was sitting doing stillness, and she said, "It's so wonderful. My head is sleeping." Did you ever experience your head sleeping when you were doing stillness? She just discovered it right away. And another little kid, the teacher had taken them out. She was a new teacher, and she was very hesitant to do the stillness practice. She wanted to, understand what it was about. But then one day she felt she was ready, and she took the kids out on a meadow in an environment, natural environment. And they sat down in a ring, and she asked them to be quiet and to listen and feel, the nature, to listen and feel, listen to the sounds and feel the nature around. And they sat very quiet, and she got a little nervous. They were so quiet, but then she, clapped her hands, and they went around, and each one told what they had heard. And one kid had heard, like, far away, the sound of kids playing ball, and another kid had heard the wind in the tree, the sound of the wind in the tree. And then this little kid, boy, he said, "I heard the wings of a butterfly flying by." Nobody had talked to him about that. And I mean, in the East, they used to hear the wings of a butterfly. That's like that is like what a wise sage does in the East. That's if they want to lift the great sage, they would say he hears the wings of a butterfly. Because the butterfly, have you heard sounds of it? I have never heard that. Never. You see them, but hearing them. No, but this kid, he heard them. That's what he said. And he had no idea that only the wise people said, did that. So it's really moving. And there was a radio program from another preschool that also did the Realm of the Good. And the reporter, he asked the kids, "Do you know what stress means?" And these were also preschoolers. And yes, that you try to do things too fast, responds a girl. You destroy stuff when you are very stressed, added another. My mom is stressed out sometimes. I notice that she grabs things fast and she drives the car too fast. She stresses to work. And I always say, Mom, stop being stressed. Then she slows down a bit, says another girl. When my mom is stressed, I hug her, adds another little girl. Hug her. Does that help? Asks the reporter. Yes. My dad is often stressed. Today he has been stressed 3 times, says another kid. How do you notice it? He's getting a little upset and then he yells, and he did not lock the door. These kids say. Isn't that interesting? They notice, and yeah, well, there have been many stories, but the kids are very perceptive and they see much more than we think. So I think as watching, following the work in preschools, I sort of think it dawned on me that if we gave the kids short times of stillness and relaxation, natural, it has to be natural. If we did that, it would help them to remain themselves when they grow up. You see, they will have contact with themselves as they grow older and not be so easily lured to the outside, you know. Am I nice? Do I look good? Are my clothes modern? Do I do well in school? All those things that are important, of course, but they are not who we are. And if the kids can stay true to themselves, they will become great human beings when they grow up. They will not be robots. You know what I mean? Do you understand what I say? Because if I don't have contact with myself in here, I would base my value on what is happening in the mirror, in the outside. You know, if you thought I was good, I would go up like this. Or if you thought I was doing bad, I would go down into the ditch in depression. And if I had a boss who said, oh, you're doing so good, Anna, and I was like that, I would do anything to please that boss. He could make me do anything. If I don't have contact with myself, I am depending on the boss for my self-confidence. And then it's dangerous because people are lured to do real crazy, dumb things that way. And our democracy is based on that we can remain ourselves. Our inner value, the equal value of man, is not on the outside. Because on the outside, we are very different. Some are clever and smart and do good things. Other ones lay in the ditch, in the street, drunkards. But we all have the same value. And it cannot be on the outside. It's an inner value. And if we don't have contact with it, how then would we understand democracy? if we only, if it only hangs on what the boss is saying about me, we cannot be mature Democrats. And this value inside, it cannot be studied scientifically. It cannot even be proven. I can't prove to you that I have it, or you can't prove to me that you have it. But if we are in contact with ourselves, we will recognize it in ourselves and in each other. It's the most important thing in our lives. So this inner value is what the dream, why we took the name, the dream of the good. The dream, because it's like a dream like for us. We were not quite in touch with it. But it is good. And in Sweden, the name for human being, it's called människa. M-A with 2 dots, N-N-I-S-K-A, människa. It comes from the ancient Nordic, the ancient Swedish word mänska, M-E-N-S-K-A, and it means goodness, generosity, that word. It's quite beautiful. And also, if I went to check the word human in English, it has a similar, not the same, but a similar derivation. So it's something that people knew in ancient times. They knew. Otherwise, why would they call humans that? They knew, they could see it in each other's eyes. And we can, if we look, if we meet each other's eyes, if we are present. But we can see, if you are present in yourself, in contact with yourself, you could see and know when you meet my eyes if I am. You could see that. And small kids, they know this is, I checked it in the preschools. They know, they see, but they can't explain what they see. They have no words for it. But they are resting in that state. They are themselves. They cannot be anything but themselves. And so they see if the teacher comes, if she really means what she says, or, if she's just talking. They see. And in families, I think the parents bond with the kid when they are babies. That's the bond. They recognize each other. I think the kid bond with the parents too, but we can't prove that. But they recognize each other, and that is like the treasure of the family. But they don't throw you out when you come in puberty and become really difficult. They don't. They keep at you and hold on and wait, or try to, calm you down, because they know you. They don't. And the kids know the parents too. Do you think I talk strange?
Not at all, Anna.
You get what I'm saying?
I'm sure we have
the same things.
I'm sure we have a great audience here with, I'm sure, lots of similar experiences. And
yeah, I think so too.
I'm looking forward to the dialogue as well, when they will raise some questions.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. Should we start that now, or you can tell me when you want me to stop?
No. If you want to add something more, please feel free to do so, and we will just continue with the dialogue.
Well, I have tried to sketch the whole thing. What I wanted to say. I mean, there's so much to know if you're interested.
Thank you.
But
we can then probably indeed open up for questions.
Yeah. One thing more I want to say. Yes, when we started it, we wanted to. Our idea and hope was to weave it into the schools all over Sweden, like weave it in from you have the school board or the school director, tell now we weave in short stillness times. But that hasn't happened. It has not, and we have to be patient. And but the work with the dream have been going on all these years, and we have people who have joined, who have put their shoulders to, who believe in it. And without those helpers and friends, it would have been almost impossible to do it this long. But they are there, and we got early in the year 2000. I met a woman, Anne-Marie Brodén, who became a parliamentarian in 2002, and she understood what we were doing, and she also has contemplative, nature. So she invited us 7 times over the years when she was in parliament to come and talk to the parliamentarians. And she also changed. There was a smoking room in parliament, very beautiful view over the water. But she changed that. She managed to change the smoking room into a stillness room. And she said she followed in Dag Hammarskjöld's footsteps. Dag Hammarskjöld was General Secretary in the UN for some years in the 50s, and he created a stillness room in the UN. We are very inspired by him. We always mention him. He was the first, and he often went up to the north in the high mountains and enjoyed the stillness there. Well, that's all. And now you can take your questions.
That's just the beginning. It's not all. So we are going to follow it up with some questions. I'm sure I do have a lot, but let me ask anyone listening to you if any of you would like to follow. Yes, Ruben. And thank you, Anna. We will.
Thank you. You need to do you have the sound on?
Yes, Anna. Yes, Ruben is here. Yeah.
Thank you, Anna, for this wonderful talk. I really enjoyed it and have many questions like Gabor. Maybe I'll start with one, or if I may too. How can we learn more? Like, I suppose you probably have a website, but okay, so that's one. How can we learn more? And the other, could you give us a brief example of like small exercise?
Yes.
It's a very practical question.
Yes, I can. Do you want me to start with an exercise? We can do it. We can do it in just a few minutes. You imagine you have a blanket of calm inside. Here, it's very soft. You have it, and just think, relax, and feel it inside of you, and see what color is it. How soft it is. And then you can take it out and wrap it around you, this nice blanket. It protects you, it gives you calm. So let's just do that. First we try to see it inside, and then we wrap it around us. Just a couple of minutes. And then we fold the blanket up and put it back inside when we have to go on with our life. It's a simple one, but it works on with all ages, you know, from the smallest to the oldest. But it's good. We can do that when we are on the bus or somewhere going to work or whatever we do, we can do that. There is another very nice practice that you can do, maybe if you want to try it tonight. Just relax. Imagine you have a sun in your heart and you feel this inner sun ray out, you know, from the heart region, ray out in your body. It's very calm and very beautiful. And you can just sit like that for a while and then thank the inner sun, the outer sun, and go on. And another very simple exercise is when you go to school, or you know, if you are a teacher or if you are a kid and have a test in school, so you're running, often you are late, and I don't say don't go too slow. They can go in their own, you know, own time, but instead of having the thoughts rushing in your head, put your attention in your feet and feel with each step, feel the support from the earth. That's like, it's so simple. It doesn't show on the outside that you're doing it. You can go as fast as you usually do, but just put your attention in your feet and feel the earth. Many kids have said it had helped them on the tests, especially when they have tests, that they stopped being nervous and they were calm when they came into the school. So I'm sorry, you had more questions?
I just want to say that that's lovely and that's very helpful as a parent. These are very good ideas and I would love to learn more.
Yes.
I'll let the floor to, I think there's other questions.
Ruben, actually, you asked for more information. So there is a short documentary in English that was made about the Dream of the Good project. We shared the link in the email that we circulated, but I can also put the link here in the chat right now so that you can save it. And there was a book also published recently about this project called Stillness in Preschool and School. And I'm copy pasting here the link to the publisher and the book. So these are two main sources of information concerning Anna's project.
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you.
Any other question or comment? Before, sorry, Joanna.
I would actually have a question for you, Anna,
yes,
because you referred to the fact that, at least in the description of your talk, that Sweden is considered one of the most secular countries on earth. And yet this initiative was not just accepted, but really embraced by a lot of the mainstream, municipal public schools. And I'd just love to hear from you about that and why you think that was possible in that context, whereas in other very secular countries and very secular education systems, like I live in France and we have a very strong secular public education program. And there's actually been a lot of difficulty in this society of introducing practices which resemble mindfulness or encouraging stillness or even doing yoga, things like that. There's been a lot of suspicion. So I'm wondering, from your perspective,
Yeah.
why did it work so well
Well,
in Sweden?
I think the need was very great and they saw the effect. But also we tried to, you know, being a journalist and writer, I'm very aware of words, you know, the feeling of words or the implication of words. So I tried to, actually, the resistance that we met, I called it the troll, you know. I mean, to personalize it like this. And I was not afraid of it. I was just standing there and listening, trying to understand it, you know, whatever the resistance was about, that I called the troll. And I tried to understand what was behind it. And that was teaching me things. It taught me, you know, I mean, it taught me what to avoid, how to present something like this, all those things I learned from the troll. And had I been afraid of it, I wouldn't have learned anything. You know, we meet resistance sometimes. It doesn't mean that what we do is meaningless. It doesn't mean, it only means that there is some entity with great energy that we could learn from and that we could also get some energy from if we do it the right way. So I don't know what you make of this, but I did it. I thought about that. And I listened, you see, and with how you present it, well, in Sweden, the right way was to be very simple and very much like the natural life. Not speak about meditation, not speak about, well, mindfulness, we use that word, but we have, the practices are so simple and so easy to, and also easy to do for the teachers. They don't take much time. They do have effect in the school so that they see that less noise, less stress, more concentration. All those things make it easier for the teachers. And no, that's how we have done it. I don't think it would have gotten into the schools if we had been more complex. But for me, I am a meditator, you know. I meditated all my life and was very, very dreamy as a child. But I had to step a little apart from myself and do this simply. We all had to do that in order to get it in there. And I think it's actually a good advice for schools everywhere, because the teachers are tremendously stressed. The situation is very difficult with many kids who can't sleep at night or who have problems, psychological problems with concentration. So it's important to make it simple so that you get in a foot and then you see it works and people see it works. That brings change.
Thank you, Anna. I would just like to ask a question. You described this story of your journey, how it started and how it developed and how it reached that many teachers. I'm wondering how you see the current situation right now. Is it still growing, or is it static, or is there any backlash right now? We are hearing reports from several countries that there is a certain backlash to certain preschool or early school practices around mindfulness and meditation. And Joanna referred to that as well. So I was wondering how it is going right now.
Yeah, yes, it's true that the COVID has brought some changes, but it's not thanks to me. It's the team that is working with it. They have stood by it and work they had done. You know, webinars like this. They have done. You know, spread it, made courses on the web. And it seems when the kids are back in school, so it seems that it's going on. It's still going on, and I don't see even that it has diminished anything, but it hasn't really expanded during these years, I would say. But it is steady, and the people. This is very nice when. We are a team, you know, and I'm not working with it actively right anymore. I'm so old now. I am you know, retired since many years, but no, not retired from the dream since many years, but the past few years I have you know, not. Well, I live in the countryside, 2 hours from Stockholm. So I don't go very often, but it works. The thing is, these people, we are very different, but we share this commitment to this treasure inside and what we are doing. And because we are different, we are a wonderful team. Because one person can't possibly do everything that's needed. It's too complex. So each person does what is their expertise, and together it becomes incredibly effective. You see, I love that feeling that it's not only doesn't hang on one person. It's a team, and each one brings the best they have.
May we ask, because you referred to the team in the description of this talk already and also now, before going to turning to Anna, she has a great question in the chat. I just wonder how big is your team, or how small is your team? How is your team?
It's first it is the team that works with the dream, and now they are not that many, but they have worked for years and they know what they are doing. And we still have funding, so it works like that. But beyond them, there is the team of teachers, you know, and first of all, we have educators out in the country in different places that contact the schools and get the, you know, gather the people for the teachers for courses. It's much better when the local people do that, because they know the schools and they have the contacts and stuff. So that's how it works. And they go on with their thing, and no, it goes on. And in the other circuits, people who are engaged in a way, they help us in different ways if they can. So it's like the educators and then the team of helpers and network workers, and it's quite astounding. But the kernel with team who works, who has, you know, are employed is very small now. But they are important. They carry it, so to speak, with them.
Thank you. Actually, Anna Göransson gave us some figures in the chat that there are 4 regional coordinators in Sweden, and one developing, one educational, and a few admin people part-time. So
yes,
yeah, just to imagine, who is the team behind all this great development. Now, Annette, Tam, you have a question in the chat, and you can raise it now.
Thank you. I would like to start to say thank you for your work, for your dedication, and for your love. I mean, yeah. It's hard to find words.
We all have it in here, right?
Yes, truly. I'm a journalist, and I also would like to have the opportunity to ask you to be able to work, to write about this later on, but we can come to that later. I was thinking about the research, because that's also very important when it comes to,
yes, very important. Good that you remind me. Let me just, I have it here. Yes. Well, early in the 2000s, the first study was made in the early 2000s by a master student at the Peace. They had started a peace education at the university in Tromsø. And he was one of their first master students. He wanted to write about the work in the schools, the peace work. So he came to Sweden and he visited all the schools and interviewed the teachers and wrote his thesis. His name is Ole Henning Sommerfeld. And his essay was, his thesis was called The Dream of the Good, a Peace Education Project, exploring its potential to educate for peace at an individual level. Very good. This was the first study with good effects. He found that the methods develop non-violent behavior, give improved ability to react with calm and non-violence in provocative situations, improved empathy, and developed group harmony with less aggression. And observations in preschool confirmed that also the younger preschool children had become less aggressive. That's what he did. Yeah. So then I met this woman, Yvonne Terjestam, who is a psychology doctor, associate professor in psychology, and she was very worried about the increasing ill health among students. And she wanted, when she heard about the Dream of the Good, she said right away, I want to research it. And she did two research projects. And let me just see. Children in balance. It was. I will send to Johanna and you.
Yes,
I have the research in English, and you can. It's a short summary. You can spread it if you like.
Yes, we will share the recording of this session together with this information. All different.
You could do that. Yeah, the first project she did was with 550 students, and in their classes they did 3 times a week the simple exercises, and for 8 weeks, and the results were very good. They showed effects as reduced mental ill health, less emotional problems and stress, improved peer relations, and well-being at school in 8 weeks. And then she did another Children in Balance too. It was 358 pupils in grades 5, 7, and 8. Oh, the first one were grades 8, 7, and 8, I think. Do you know those, what that means? How old the kids are? They are 14, 15, about. She did that, she chose that because it is the most difficult ages to reach. So that's why she chose it. And the results after 8 weeks showed a significant improvement in the experimental group, in pupils' capacity for effortful control, feelings of well-being at school, and perceived peer relations. Those were the most important. I don't go into more details, but you can read it if you like. They were 8 weeks also, and she wrote about it in several studies, several articles. You will get the list of the articles and stuff.
Thank you. We will circulate it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Ole Henning Sommerfeld's name, and he is here with us actually. So I would like to invite you if you want to comment on this question or if you want to add anything.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Anna.
Hey, Ole.
I'm here listening in.
Hey.
Very nice to be
Good
here
to
with
see
all
you.
of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hear you, Anna. Yeah, I don't know if you meant to cover specifically on the research or...
On the research primarily, but anything else you may want to share, of course, because your name was highlighted, so.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I was lucky as a master student to be able to study The Dream of the Good, which was an interview study. So I just need to specify one important point, that we were looking at the experiences of the teachers and the students. So how they perceived the different effects. So they were not a controlled study. So I just wanted to make that clear. Whereas the studies with that Anna spoke about from Yvonne was more classical quantitative study with test groups and control groups and so on. So I just wanted to mention that. So just for clarification. Yes, actually for myself also, if I can just add that in the beginning, I just wanted to look into this project because I always been a firm believer that being a peace student, if you want to have peace in society, you need to start at the individual level. If not, you cannot have that. So I wanted to look specifically into this project, which at the time was recommended to me by a friend, and so that was very interesting and very rewarding to look into. And then I got engaged later on. So just to add briefly that now we also been at it in Norway for a number of years. And
since 2002, isn't it? The beginning of the two.
Yes, with seminars, and then it's gradually kind of become more of an organization. And one of the exciting things that we do now is in the very north of Norway, in the county or the region of Finnmark, up in Lapland, very north, where there's a lot of problems with stress, psychological problems, a lot of dropouts in schools and so on. There we are running a project in the biggest municipality where we have public funding, and then working with the schools up there. So that's very exciting for us. So yeah, anyway, I'm not going to keep at you much longer, but that's thank you for the opportunity to.
But Ole Henning, how many schools? You have done a lot of schools on other parts of Norway too, right? You and Gudrun. They work non-profit too.
Yes, we
But
do
they
this.
it's spread in Norway, right?
Yes, that's true. In as part of the research, we've been in different schools previously also, and then but the nature of the training and the courses we give is that most of it is actually like open courses where we invite the teachers and both from schools and kindergartens. And actually in Norway, we had, at least initially, we had the highest impact has actually been in kindergarten. So we had a few kindergartens or preschools that have gone all in with all their teachers, preschool teachers, and then implementing all the 4 main methodologies that we have in the Dream of the Good, which being stillness and contemplative movement and reflection exercises and also the touch, or the peaceful touch, as we call it, the massage methods.
Thank you. We have become good friends over the years.
Yeah.
And in Norway, there is also another Norwegian, Christian Egge, who is writing a book about the contemplative pause. And it will come out soon. He's very interested in education. And well, I can recommend.
Yes, we would like to invite him to give a similar once he's ready. I'm in touch with him as well.
Yes, and maybe also Yvonne Terjestam. She's very good. You could contact her too. She's very engaged in the subject also. I don't know if she has time, but you could ask her. And yesterday I was contacted by Nimrod Scheinemann. Do you know him?
Sure, he's a member of the contemplative education community, and the principal investigator of that community, Catherine Ware, is here with us, listening to you.
Good.
So yes, Norman is.
I enjoy. We had a long talk and very interesting to talk to him, and I see that they have come a long way in Israel with this work.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. And we were agreed on, the simplicity and the shortness of the stuff. It works because, first of all, it meets no resistance. And second, this is my opinion though, and if you do longer times of stillness, it can go wrong, because for teenagers, you don't know how they live, what they do on weekends, and you don't know. Many of them take drugs or drink, and it can, if they start to meditate too long, it can trigger traumas and stuff, difficult things. So we don't want to have that happen. So that's also a reason to stay very simple, because then the kids get a chance to think for themselves how they want to live, what they want to do.
Thank you. Alan Berkowitz.
Hello. I wanted to share some research that supports what Anna's doing, but from a different realm, but based on the same principles. So Anna's talking about the split in people, and we do things according to what we think is on the outside and not on the inside. And it turns out there's a lot of research that shows that what people think is on the outside isn't true. For instance, young people think that everyone drinks alcohol, or people don't like prejudicial remarks, but they think other people don't mind. So there's this approach that's being used a lot in Europe and North America called the social norms approach, where we tell the people the truth about other people. Like, most kids your age don't drink. Most people don't like homophobic remarks. Most people want to practice green behaviors. And when you tell the people the truth about the other people, it gives them the permission to do the truth about themselves. So we have tons of social science research showing that people engage in healthier behaviors when they feel release from this pressure from the outside. And I only mention it because it's very parallel to what Anna's doing in a different domain, and is confirming that when we reduce this split between self and others and give people permission to be oriented towards within, they make healthier decisions.
Thank you. Nice. It's true, but that I have thought about it, the different ways that when we have contact with ourselves, we are secure. I mean, we don't depend on other people for our self, our feeling of self-worth. We don't depend on others, even though we can be happy if someone thinks we are good or do good, but it is not totally, we remain ourselves when we have contact with this. That's where our value is. We look into a dog's eyes or another person's eyes, and we see, yes, there is the same life in there as in me. We share.
Thank you, Bruce. You made a comment in the chat, which will take us to another level of abstraction, but very relevant.
Well, I wanted to say thank you to Anna, obviously for all her work and the practices, and particularly for working with that group that I am particularly keen on, which is the pre-teenage group. I think the age group between 7 and 11. If we can teach them practices which will allow them to make their own decisions, determine their own futures, and gives them the potential for greater happiness. Of course, we also have to educate society to accept these views. But I was thinking about your practices and perhaps just what underlay them. And the difference between some of the meditative and awareness practices that we are, in our field anyway, more commonly used to using to bring us to the present moment. And we don't often consider where we can go, where we could actually elaborate our cognitive processing from the present moment. We bring ourselves, we sit in the present and are aware of what's coming. But of course, one of the purposes is to find meaning, to make sense of what we see in the present moment, and then to elaborate, to access creativity, imagination, which might influence our own self-determination, as we've said that we would like the youngsters to do. And I think essentially some of your practices there are what we would see in other wisdom traditions as guided visualizations. And the benefit of a guided visualization is it can take you in the direction of elaborative cognitive processing from the present moment, which allows people to create dynamic self-determination. Some traditions would say create their destiny. and it brought me to thinking about something that Viktor Frankl said. Man is ultimately self-determining. Man does not simply exist, but always decides what the what his existence will be and become in the next moment. So by this means, every human being has the possibility to determine his next moment and the direction that he wants to take. And I think your practices as guided visualizations help people to reach that point and explore different directions in which they may choose to take by using their own creativity and imagination. So I just wanted to thank you for reminding us that there is more than just meditative awareness to bring us into the presence. A lot of wisdom traditions use guided visualizations to allow people to explore that next step with creativity and self-determined.
Yes, yes. And I would add that, you know, in the schools, as the schools are in Sweden now, anything longer and more, you know, more deeper would be to take too many risks with the kids, you see. So and it would not be possible to get it in also because of the if you want it in to others, you know, to all the subjects, which we do, not only to the religious subject, but to all subjects, it's not possible if the practices are deeper.
Thank you, Anna. Actually, my experience going through your practice you offered created a feeling that simplicity is sometimes more depth. So, so in that sense, I would not say simplicity is more shallow. It can.
No, it's not. It's not. It's just different. It's one have to adjust to the environment, of course. That where, but I mean, I am. You should see me. I am a real meditative person, but I am a person who I want to have contact with myself, but I feel I want to be in the world and to do something. And in order to do that, I have to bring my inner self into the world, so to speak. I have to learn to balance the two while I'm active, which doesn't allow for too many deep meditations while I'm active. But when I go home, I do what I want.
I just want to ask you maybe one last question, if you all allow me. I was really touched by your comments on democracy and how your work is intricately and essentially linked to values, fostering or promoting or embodying democracy in the end.
Yeah.
And what we heard from Bruce, identifying our essential nature as self-determining, might be the bridge. So guided visualizations, more creativity, more imagination, leading to self-determination and finally to democracy. But I would be really interested in hearing a little bit more about this connection between your work and the essence of your work and the importance of democratic values.
Yes, it is very important. I am, you know, I'm so stubborn. It's good I'm stubborn because this has been in me for a long time. But the thing is, the democracy is based on the equal human value, right? So when you do the expressions of democracy, I mean, equal, voting rights, equality, all those things are expressions of democracy. They are not the heart, the beating heart of it, right? Those are, outer expressions. But in Sweden, I find it so funny because people, they mention the equal human value because as if they were reading from the law, because it is in the law. They mention it, but you never hear them talk about it in any meaningful way, because they talk about expressions, and still to communicate, to learn about the fundamental values of democracy, it's the most important task of the schools. But how do they learn? They discuss in the schools about what? Voting rights, equality, things like that, equality between men and women, things like that, outer things. They never talk about leaning inwards to feel contact with this value, with this treasure. It's really a treasure. We all have it inside. And we can see it in each other's eyes. If we are in it, we recognize it. That's how we can befriend other people, strangers. We see it in children's eyes. The children surely see it in us. Surely see it in us if we are in it. They recognize it. So it's I mean, we should care that in schools the kids don't only are pressed to the surface to take in knowledge from books and discussions and things like that, but also let them go inwards to think in perspective, think deeply about things, and also come into contact with themselves as they are. I have memories from my childhood. I could have been maybe 3 or 4. I hardly reached up to the handle of the door. And I was standing looking out into the living room. My parents had guests from Czechoslovakia. They had a business. And I was looking at those, those grown-ups. And I looked, and I saw they don't know themselves. It came like a flash. They don't know who they really are. They think they are the person. And I mean, this little kid seeing this and thinking this, it's remarkable. I think other kids do too. It's just they don't talk about it like I do. But it's amazing what we do when we are in ourselves. We see things and understand. And I have been interested in it all my life. I always looked, are they like me inside? And I think we all are. We all are together inside. We are, and then we are different, and that's also important and nice.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
And thank you all for attending this very special, very unique webinar. And I just would like to ask Johanna to say some final words about our upcoming activities that you may also be interested in. And once again, thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
for everything you have done.
Thank you. We will probably meet again.
We will.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you, Gabor. So we just wanted to share a bit about the 3 upcoming online events, which you are welcome to join as MLE Friends. The first one is a Mind Matters webinar, which is a larger public event online. It'll be an hour-and-a-half talk, similar format to this evening, with the Venerable Dr. Barry Curzon, who, among other things, is a physician, a Buddhist monk, physician to the Dalai Lama, and he'll be offering a very deep, insightful talk from his own experience called No Center, No Edge, Letting Go of a Fixed Identity. So you're all welcome to join this talk. And if you think other people would be interested, you're welcome also to send them the information. It'll be at 3 p.m. Central European Summer Time. So that's a different time from our usual talks at 6 p.m. So that'll be next Wednesday on May 25th. And then that weekend, May 28th and 29th, we're partnering with Upaya Zen Center in the US for the Varela International Symposium of this year, which will be called Laying Down a Path in Walking, Mind in Life, Interdependence and Inaction. And this seminar is really looking back on the work and legacy of Francisco Varela through the lens of some contemporary thinkers, philosophers, scientists and academics who are bringing their own work from this tradition to the fore. And so if you'd want to sign up, the faculty members that'll be presenting during the symposium are Roshi Joan Halifax, Amy Cohen Varela, who's the chair of our board, Dr. Richard Davidson, Dr. Evan Thompson, Dr. John Dunn, Sensei Al Kazniak, Dr. Adam Frank, Dr. Abiba Birhan, Dr. Ezekiel DePaulo, and Dr. Hannah de Jager. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with some of these names, but it's a really fascinating lineup. So you're welcome to look at the Upaya Zen Center website and you can register for the symposium online. And then on June 8th, we have our next MLE Friends webinar with Fabienne Picard, and she is a neurologist and a neuroscientist. And so she'll be offering a more scientific talk from her latest work on epilepsy and ecstatic experiences. So we'll be posting more information about the details of her talk shortly, and that'll be at 6 p.m., our usual talk time, Central European Summer Time. So you're all welcome to join this talk as well. So thank you so much to everyone who joined this evening, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you again, Anna.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Johanna, and
Thank you.
Thank you for your work and attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you.